I wanted to say a few things to really represent our family, and I'm sure you've heard stories from Paul about our family. I want you to know he was not exaggerating, and that's part of my plan here tonight. So, growing up, obviously our parents couldn't be here tonight, and I wanted to let you know my mother. There's nothing in the world that means more to her than her children. So this is for her. She growing up, and even in adulthood, we always knew my mother had a list, right? And this list was, it was your typical list. At the top was the golden child, and at the bottom was the one that received all the crap. And at the top, the way this generally worked was at the top of this list was on a permanent basis was Lauren, our sister, and she really was the best of us, and that was a well-earned and deserved spot. And most of you, if you knew our family, you might think that I was second on the list, but that was far from true. Second on the list was Matt. Matt was always there for you. Matt's he's that guy. So that left Paul, Timmy, and I to fill out the last 3 spots on this list. Yeah. Now, Paul and Timmy were piss poor at this game, right? They didn't recognize that third place on this list, this is where you wanted to be, right? Expectations were low. The amount of shit you got was relatively low, too. So, this is where I like to ride it out. Middle of this list, right? Anyway, a few years ago, we went on this family vacation to a beach resort, and we had a dinner one night. There's not much I really remember about this dinner. I was seated next to Paul. He was pissing me off. I wanted to smack him more than anything. I'm pretty sure it was a mutual feeling. It was pretty much, brotherly love at its best. Smart-ass remarks and digs the whole time. In the middle of this dinner, he mentions, I'm seeing this woman Amy. And it was the first time he'd ever mentioned her to me. And, even in that moment where I really wanted to smack him, I could tell that what he was telling me was something different than I'd heard from him recently, and I knew it was important. It wasn't but a few weeks later that I was on the phone with our mother, trying to get out of going to a Sunday dinner, telling her, the kids are tired, I've got work early in the morning, Mom, we'll do it next week, it's going to be okay. And she drops on me, your brother's bringing that girl he's seeing. So my mind is racing at this point. I mean, anything could happen. This could be incredible. I'm Bob and Barbara at their finest, right? Paul squirming. I was so excited. Immediately, okay, Mom, I'll be there at 5. Right? I remember that dinner. It was relatively, par for the course, but Amy really handled it with a grace and an ease that, now that I know her, is just totally to be expected and just totally who she is. After that dinner, my mom immediately came up to me. What do you think? She seemed nice, Mom. He's going to marry her. Slow down, Ma. He might screw it up. You should have seen the look I got. It was great. I talked to my mom a few days later, and the second she picked up the phone, I knew I was in for it. It was, you don't call me, you don't tell me about your life, I don't know what's going on with you. I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell did I do? And then she drops it, and you got a smart-ass mouth, and your brother's gonna marry that girl. Right? So, I'm literally afraid at this point. I'm like, what in the hell changed the order of this list? He shows up for dinner once with her, and that's all it takes? I had to do something, right? I had to do something quick. So I immediately broke out the big guns and said, hey, Mom, have you heard from Timmy lately? Now, our mom says some crazy stuff, but I gotta tell you that, even me and my smart-ass mouth knew that she might be right, and she was. Amy, I want you to know that, traditionally people make these speeches from the family perspective, and they say things like, welcome to the family. But, you've been through it with us, for the past years, so you're family, you are. So, Paul, you and I growing up, we always listen, we always bonded over music, we listened to music, we played music together. And it was something I really cherished. And, there's a song by John Mayer, it's called In the Blood. And, if you know the song, it's about how family relationships affect you. The first verse of the song is, how much of my mother is my mother left in me? How much of my love is insane to some degree? So you can see how we might relate to this. But the third verse of the song is, how much like my brothers do my brothers want to be? Will we be there for each other like nobody ever could? Will it wash out in war? Or is it always in the blood? For the four of us, Paul, it's always in the blood. I love you guys. And I'm going to leave the singing to the much, much more talented part of the family. So.